This is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to the WHTC Morning News for this Thursday, August the 12th. Over 4,400 outages statewide and nearly 214,000 customers affected. That's looking at the Consumers Energy outage map, and a lot of them are along the lakeshore. Josh Paciorek from Consumers Energy joins us via the Zoom connection this morning. Josh, good morning. Yes, this is the time when you earn your pay. A lot of questions and a lot of concerns. It's one thing when we've had storm for one night. Back-to-back nights? Yeah, that just compounds the problem.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me on. You're exactly right. The challenge of this storm was that Tuesday night came through with a heavy storm, and it followed up with more heavy storms on Wednesday. And so at Consumers Energy, we were watching the potential severity of these storms. We started watching them last Friday. We had crews ready, but we ended up Tuesday night, 205,000 customers lost power. Second wave of storms came through on Wednesday. And in total, about 300,000 plus Michiganders lost their power over the past 2 days. Our crews, they've been out since Tuesday night working around the clock to try to restore power as quickly and as safely as possible.
And of course, whenever a situation comes up, such as what we have here with back-to-back nights, the call is out for neighboring states to bring in crews to help out, just as when there's disasters in other areas. The call is out and Consumers Energy sends its crews. It's time for them to pay some of the debt back that Consumers Energy did a few months ago.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the magnitude of this storm, the impact that it left behind, these multiple storms, 300,000 plus customers without power, thousands of down wires, thousands of down power poles and trees and limbs. That requires a massive effort, all hands on deck to try to clean it up. So we have over 500 crews who are working, like I said, around the clock to get it cleaned up. And they're coming from 7 different states as far as New York, Tennessee, Missouri. As you know, we know folks are being patient and are waiting for their power to come on. That's why these crews, they're out, 24/7 until the last customer has their power turned back on.
I know that you're relatively new to Consumers Energy, but are there areas that the utility knows if there's going to be power outages, more likely than not, those areas are going to get hit? Or is it simply a case of, well, one area that normally gets power out, they still have it, and the other area that we normally don't have to service, they're out? I mean, it's almost a case maybe of hit and miss in that regard.
That's a really good question. What's challenging about this storm was that it wasn't just a storm that came through in a targeted region. It wasn't just Southwest Michigan. It wasn't just, the Grand Rapids area. It was the entire service territory. And the storm kept its power. So that's why if you go, customers can always check the status of their restoration efforts at consumersenergy.com/outage. But if you look, that map shows outages across the lower peninsula, which makes getting the power turned back on more of a challenge, coupled with the fact that the storm was a 2-day event and both storms did the exact same thing. So the entire service territory has been impacted from, the southernmost region of the lower peninsula to the most northern areas.
Now, Josh, I think we heard a comment from Brian Wheeler a little bit earlier in our news about the fact that the times that the service will be restored, one is an automatic. It's almost like it's a computer generated, but then investigators come in or crews come in and they size it up in person. That makes so that to a certain extent, you might say, well, power will be back by tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. And then all of a sudden, about 2 hours later, be back Saturday at 3. What's going on? That does happen.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Good point. So we know that when those estimated times are posted at first, those are automated times. When we have our crews out and actually assessing the damage, and then we, have more weather events like we did yesterday, you could see those times change. I think most people, if they go on, most folks we expect to have their power restored back on in the next couple of days, possibly through the weekend in some areas. But you're right. As we get on the ground and actually see, what the situation is, those times can change.
And finally, a lot of those estimated times are, shall we say, conservative in the sense that it is the worst case scenario. A lot of times power gets back on a little sooner than expected.
Yeah, what the goals of these times is, they are just estimates. They can change. We want to give folks time to prepare if they have to make arrangements. We understand that this can be frustrating. Power outages can always be difficult for customers. We appreciate their patience. And I just want to again reemphasize that our crews, they're out there 24/7. You'll see them all over the state today, working with crews from, neighboring states. And again, as far as New York and Missouri, trying to get the power back on as quickly as possible.
He is Josh Paciorek. He is with Consumers Energy talking about the outages, storms on back-to-back nights. And again, the numbers from the consumerenergy.com outage map is 4,447 outages affecting nearly 214,000 customers at this point statewide. Josh, thank you very much for your time. Wish you and everybody at Consumers Energy well. Look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Gary.
Thank you very much, Josh Paciorek on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.